everybody, welcome back to Supernatural. I can't believe we're already here on episode 3, and this one is definitely going to be such an epic one. This is based on Gold Coast Railroad Museum, and it's probably one of our team's favorite locations, or one of our favorite locations that we've investigated in War Party. Before we get to it, this one we have so much evidence captured that I might have to do 2 parts for Gold Coast. I know it won't be in chronological order the way I do my seasons and episodes, but this will be part 1 of Gold Coast Railroad Museum. Later on, we will get to interview, or Mike Delcoro will be back as the post-interview segment, and he'll be interviewing Jenny and Armando, 305 Paranormal. So that's going to be very exciting. But this one's going to be a little bit different because we're going to have to make this really fast because there's just so much history involved. So I'm going to make that really brief and then show the evidence that's captured per car, I guess the train car and location of the site that we're at the moment. We're going to make it very short and brief, so just bear with us and just get ready for the show because it is going to be a fire one. Getting moving, I want to give a big shout out to Stephanie from Wicked Cat Clothing. She does some fire horror clothing line, and also does for any paranormal team logos. So give my girl a shout out for some tees. And look at this, she did a Supernatural one, and I can show you the back. Let me twist this, if I can twist this around. You can see my back anyways, but anyhow, she made this tee and I am obsessed with it, so I want to give my girl a shout out. But anyways, moving on to Gold Coast. Gold Coast has so much history, and I met the majority of the teammates, my team members on this location, or at this location. I meant to say, sorry, I can't freaking talk today, but anyways, I met the majority of my teammates at this location, and one that stood out was Jenny and Armando, 305 Paranormal. That is what's up. And they're just very sweet. I love them as a couple, and we had some really good captures at the Zephyr, and I want to get to that because the Zephyr is probably one of my favorite trains there. And again, these places have just so much history involved that it is just beyond crazy. And what I'm going to do is just kind of talk a little bit about the brief history of each train and show the evidence. So that's what we're going to do. The California Zephyr ran from 1949 to 1970. It was like the original first high-class traveling train. In other words, gets you from one destination point to the other, and it traveled from Chicago to Oakland, California. It had a connected dining room, also known to be very active, and we captured a waiter, I think a bartender spirit there that roams like the little hallway of the dining cart that's connected to the Zephyr. And pretty much it's probably one of the most active, that whole place is active, but it's probably one of the most active carts, I would say, from my experience at Gold Coast. And just to show you some clips, as I mentioned before with 305 Paranormal, Jenny and Armando, we had some really good captures on here. So I want to roll the clips in the evidence that was captured at the Zephyr car. So go ahead and check that out.
Telling us to get out the past couple days? Why don't you want to communicate with us?
It almost whispers right before I answer the second question, right?
Telling us to get out the past couple days? Why don't you want to communicate with us?
It says something there, though.
Alive?
You want to do the name game and see if it's one of our names?
Yeah. We're going to introduce ourselves. I'm going to start with me because you probably know who I am, and probably some other people here too. So, and after everyone says their name, you tell us which person you like the best. What?
Spell it.
Spell it?
Spell it, right?
I don't feel like spelling. Too lazy.
The person who's afraid to cross over?
I just heard something down there.
Never
What the heck?
It's right under you.
Yeah, I almost felt it.
Yeah.
Look. The K2's going off.
K2.
The K2's going off.
Where?
Right here, next to me.
Wait, I heard something down here.
No, the
The
K2's
K2's
going off. Can you make that light up again?
Does anyone have a flashlight on them?
Yeah.
It's got different settings. Is Joe or Liam here with us? Joe.
There's nobody here.
Is there someone sitting next to Jenny?
If you're down here, can you come up here and join us? Where were you traveling to? Is that you?
No, she didn't.
That's the second. That's the second time that's happened. Can you do that again to show Eric? Make that ball light up again. The one next to me.
Can't see.
Can you make it go to red?
Talk to us through the spirit box.
I just heard something again.
Yeah, like a
No.
boom, right? It's
It was like a
downstairs,
deep
but
voice.
more this way. It was down
Yeah, but-
this way. but
Yeah,
downstairs.
underneath.
Yeah.
Do you think it's somebody walking through the car? It's like, ooh, oh, that's somebody.
Yeah, but the car won't move like that.
How
The
many
light that you
passengers?
see is all the way in the front. That's not in the train. Wait, no. Somebody's here.
Inside?
Yeah.
How many passengers are on this train car with us?
Go down there. Eric, I saw like a light coming down from where you're at. Go look down this hall.
Oh. Were you guys here for a while?
Huh?
Were you guys in here for a while?
No, we just walked out.
No way.
Yeah.
I heard someone down here like 30 seconds ago.
Yeah, no, we just walked in and came down the hall.
Oh, come on in. Things are happening.
This way.
No, there was no one here. They just walked in.
So yeah, it's definitely one of my favorite cars, I would say. And later on, stay tuned for the post-interview segment with Jenny and Armando. They will discuss more about it, I'm sure. And yeah, let's move on to the next card. Before we move on to the next segment, or the next card, I meant to say, I definitely want to give a big shout out to Univision Latin Network, because we filmed an episode at Gold Coast and we did a Tesla special. Go ahead and check them out to see the full clip and video. I'm not going to show it here due to copyright issues, but anyways, we have captured, quick mention, and it's in one of the clips actually that was shown here when we captured EVP with Armando at the Zephyr at the top. But we were doing some downtime, that's why that clip was captured and I was able to show it. But anywho, to capture what we did with Univision, we did a Tesla special with the SLS camera, and we mapped out like a spirit of a motorcycle in the middle of nowhere. There's nothing there to be mapping out, because sometimes SLS cameras are a little bit flaky, so I just wanted to mention that too. But are not really a reliable source as a paranormal tool, but what we captured with Univision was incredible, so I just wanted to mention that. But anyways, moving on to the next car, I guess you could say, I wanted to show the clip of the medical car, and I did met teammate JP as well at this during this moment at Gold Coast Railroad Museum, but we'll interview JP in a later episode. That's going to be awesome. But anyways, the medical car was the U.S. Army hospital car, number 89436. It operated as a hospital car, known as moving like a hospital, like a moving to hospital transportation car, in other words, you could say, during World War II. And it carried doctors, I think 2 nurses, 4 service personnel, carried up to 33 patients at its time. And there's spirits of we claim that there's a spirit of a little girl and a soldier of the military during its time that haunts the train, in other words. But check out the cool clips that I've captured here with the team at the medical car. So I want to show you that. Go ahead and check that out.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. No, it's on. It's on.
Is that the battery pack on there?
This thing is jumping. I have another battery that's fully charged. Yeah.
You heard something?
Yeah.
Would bang, but it could have been somebody outside.
No, it's in that corner.
Who's here? Can you make a noise?
You're not the little girl, are you?
Can you make another noise? Heard that?
Yeah.
Make another noise? Heard that?
Yeah.
Can you make another noise? Heard that?
Yeah.
Ready, set, go. Is there a soldier in here? Are you hurt?
Are you male or female?
Do you want us to leave?
Are you mad that we're here? Just hits. No, it just went to 0 basically. Crazy.
Almost sounds like that's right.
What's that?
Yes, get out.
Oh.
Listen. Yes, get out. Listen.
Yeah, that's cool. There we go. Okay,
K2's going off over there. Doesn't stop. Keeps going.
That's crazy. Oh my gosh.
I don't think it wants us here.
So we've been told to leave this car. What we've been doing, we have 3 DR60s that we're running. We're sticking them in the very, very back of the train, and then we're walking away, and then we're asking questions out of far, probably about 40 feet, and then we're getting this crazy EVP, so it's been happening.
So yeah, that was pretty wild, and the medical car could definitely get very active. Also very hot in there. Moving forward, now we're going to discuss the Jim Crow car, the segregation car, better known. The proper name at the time was the Seaboard Airline Railroad, SAL, I guess they called it, Passenger Accommodation Baggage Coach to number 259. It was known back then as the segregated seating areas, so that was during segregation, which it was not a really good time. It was a very dark and sad time, so I didn't really like this car. I mean, it's interesting to see the layout of it, which we'll get to in a second, but feeling wise, I did not like it. It just wasn't something I would claim to be my favorite car. It's just very sad, and just knowing the history and what happened and how they separated people based on color, which is not cool. Very, very sad. But anyways, it had 18 seats in the front section and 24 in the rear section, and you already know how that goes. People of color sat in the back, people that were white sat in the front. So I'm going to show you the clips that were captured there. So stay tuned to the K2 that's behind Mike in one of the videos. K2s, again, are not always the reliable source, but at this particular location, the K2s go haywire. So it's just depending on how far you angle it compared to your camera view. Obviously, that's very sensitive. Sometimes it could set it off, but in this case, we had it set in a way that would make it very extremely difficult to set it off. So go ahead and check that out and see the clips that were captured at the segregation car. And before we get there, I did want to say I met teammate Ernesto, and better known that does my intro song in All Modern Minds. Go ahead and check him out because he's badass, along with his band. I met him on this episode or during this location at the time as well. So again, we'll interview Ernesto in another episode, which is actually it's my favorite location I've ever investigated with War Party, but we'll get to that way later on when its time is up, and it will be in this season, so stay tuned. But anyhow, get on track. Here's some video clips of the segregation car being captured.
What? There's something there for sure. Sounds like thank you.
Go. I heard go away.
That's where I heard get out, boy. Something like that.
Yeah.
Get out, boy.
Get out,
That's what
boy.
I hear. Yeah, get out, boy.
It's all about you and Ernesto.
So, Joe, did you hear that? Get out, boy.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
And you know, this was actually a car used for segregation, like back in I don't know, back in the 50s.
That sounds.
That was
the
like
way they
sounds
say
kinda
boy.
racist.
It's me. No, I mean it's just kind of like the way that people would talk back then, right? Like,
Yeah.
get out of here,
Pretty
boy.
wild. And just a touch note on that EVP being captured, like how racist that sounded, like back in its days, like boy, like, you know, how that was being expressed, like definitely correlated to its time period during this, you know, the Jim Crow days. But anyhow, just crazy. This place is just beyond crazy. But anyways, now let's move on to probably one of my favorite areas, and I would think the most active area, because back then this was also considered the Richmond Naval Air Station. And it stored huge blimps, like tons of blimps during its time. Obviously, in the 1900s, I think it was like early 1900s, but a hurricane came through, it struck, and pretty much killed many, including the fire chief, which is roamed to haunt that location and those grounds as well, where all these blimps were stored. And pretty much there is like one little like hangar that's still there that you'll see, and then, you know, if you go visit the Gold Coast Railroad Museum, that's still hanging around, that, you know, survived during the hurricane and the explosion that was caused through these blimps because of the hurricane. But that energy is still, in my belief, like stored there. It's just like harvesting. It's crazy. But anyways, the activity and the things that we captured in that area were the maintenance room, the mechanical room that people call it. Also the model room, like in those back areas, like it's so active. And we'll get there too in just a second. You know, first I think I'll mention the model room. So I'm going to show you those clips really quick. So let's go ahead and roll that.
Set up in the room with different gadgets, different things set up differently. This thing would be like this. We usually just stand right here.
It said camera, and I'm holding my camera.
You know what it says?
It said camera, and I'm like checking out my camera, right when it says camera. What does it say? Malevolent? Northern Lady, and what was the last word?
It was spit.
That's weird.
It just said Alice before too.
It doesn't like spit out words like that.
So yeah, my Ovilus pretty much doesn't shut up every time. It's like, it's really weird. It's like the only location that starts like blah, 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 spitting, other than Coruscant. Coruscant actually kind of does the same thing a little bit, but not as frequent as the Gold Coast Railroad was in. And again, like the Ovilus doesn't spit out words in that pace, so it's really bizarre that it did it. It's always in that room. So I don't know if there's some malfunction to the Ovilus, but it's definitely really bizarre that it only happens at that location in that exact room. Anywho, moving forward. So now we're going to discuss the maintenance room, which we did an epic Estes session before the Delcos were ever created, and we'll get to that later on because again we go by chronological order. So the Estes were experimenting like any other paranormal team with the Estes. During its time, and we captured a really epic Estes session in the maintenance room. So, and I did want to point that I was felt and my hat got flicked in this room. And before my time, there was a writer, a very famous paranormal writer and investigator named Erin, and she traveled and met War Party, and also had similar experiences I did as far as being touched. She had like her makeup being smeared, but I think her legs also got touched like I did. So we had similar experiences. But anyways, we're going to show you the clips of what was captured in this room, which in my belief was probably the most active area of the Gold Coast Railroad Museum, including the trains. So let's go ahead and roll those clips real quick and see what we captured.
I just had some static on my right side here, and I'm not sensitive, but I can feel it.
Yeah.
No, I mean, they were just getting touched now.
She's had her hat flicked.
Yeah, her hat. Okay.
Someone flicked her hat.
Let's talk to. Let's see what we can get. Yeah. To whoever is in here, I know you remember me. You touched me last time I was here. I came back to talk to you. Can you talk into any of these recorders up here with the light flashing? You were being kind of nasty to the girl that I was with, and you pushed me. I don't appreciate that. What do you have to say for yourself? Yeah, leave them all. We have those on purpose. Yeah.
Whoever is in here, I know you remember me. You touched me last time I was here. I came back to talk to you. Can you talk into any of these recorders up here with the light flashing? You were being kind of nasty to the girl that I was with. Pushed me, I don't flash.
Somebody like there was after.
I thought I said yes, get out.
There was. It's three. It's the doors and then tails off.
I heard yes, yes, I can.
The girl that I was with, pushed me, I don't appreciate that. What do you have to say for yourself?
Get out. I thought it said get out, JP. Listen, the recorder's on. Get out, JP. Listen.
I don't know. I definitely hear get out. I thought it said my friend, though. Get out, my friend.
Get out, my friend?
I think so.
Want to try yours?
I could be wrong. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Same tones and everything.
It's an the same thing.
Same thing.
Same exact thing.
That's weird, right?
So that's validation, though,
Yeah.
is what that is.
And you know what it is? We got the same exact responses on the other train too. Like normally you don't get.
I say we put one of those. Actually, you know what? Holy shit. It does feel cold in here.
That's me. It's me. I'm sorry. Sorry. That was me. Freak me out.
That was me, buddy.
Gotcha.
Sorry. That was me. I was just trying to check the temperature.
Yeah. Are we done?
No.
No.
Unless you want to be done.
No.
Let me see that.
Yeah.
You alright?
Yeah, that scared the shit out of me when he fucking touched me like that.
Let's see what I got in the DR60 real quick. You want to continue?
Let's continue. Let's continue.
No,
You want to take a break?
Let's take a 2-minute.
Yeah, if that's what you want to do.
And then I want to reset.
Alright.
Oh, you don't want to?
I'm gonna talk to you again in a minute. I saw a face.
You were saying that.
I saw a face, but it was like he wouldn't come close. It was like if he was here, and it was like a silhouette of like the side of a man's face, bald.
She got touched in the thigh.
White man.
Yeah,
I got touched on my face.
You know what, I'm picking up the fact that I think that we're talking to a high-ranking officer. It's a real dick, and he did some perverted stuff, and he likes the little women and likes women, because every girl that comes in here gets touched, and we heard naked, and I think he's trying to scare us out of here.
Yeah, he got like really in my thigh, like in this
Yeah, that's what
area,
happened.
like,
The same thing happened to Aaron.
Like, yeah, like.
The exact same thing happened to
He
Aaron.
went from her ankle.
Yeah.
Up her thigh into
Like earlier was my ankle, and now it's like it literally just like went up here, like.
Same thing happened to Aaron, for sure. All right, we'll break.
You feeling good, Joe? You okay?
Yeah, I'm still good.
You heard that.
So yeah, that was pretty wild, and probably one of our best evidence captured at the Gold Coast Railroad Museum. But one card that's probably one of my favorites, favorite cards as well, but I've only been inside of it once, was the presidential car. And I did want to discuss a little bit about that because I think it's so freaking cool. And it was built in 1928, and it's known as the Fernanded, I can never say the freaking name, Ferdinand Magellan, U.S. card number 1. I could be corrected on this, by the way. It's just like the hardest freaking name to say, but it traveled through the USA and imported business and campaigns for presidency. Presidents such as Reagan, Roosevelt, Truman, Eisenhower, and it is claimed that a CIA agent, I forgot what president was, he was protecting one of the presidents and got shot. For some reason, these were supposed to be like bulletproof windows, and one of the bullets just like kind of like pierced through the window and killed a CIA agent, which we claim, I'm sorry, I can't friggin' talk today, that haunts the train. Jenny and Armando, which we'll get to soon here for the post-interview segment. I'm sure we'll discuss this and what they've seen at this actual train car, and it's just so freaking awesome. Again, we captured so much at Gold Coast, Railroad Museum, that I'm gonna have to do 2 parts. So, what was on that train for the presidential cart, I have some clips, but we're gonna have to show that for part 2. So stay tuned for that. It will probably be for next season. But anywho, so moving forward, I'm now going to go into the post-interview segment. But before that, I want to give a big shout out to Mike and Eric. So Eric is my editor. Mike is my interviewer for the show. But they are sponsored by Paraflix. And Paraflix is giving us the shout out for War Party Paranormal. But we have our series called The Haunted Files that Eric and Mike came up with. And it is extremely fuego. Time and time you'll be seeing your girl here and a couple of team members as well. And go ahead and subscribe to Paraflix. The Queen, Patty Degree, and Natalie Joad, CEO, so beautiful, of Paraflix, is sponsoring us. So go ahead and check that out because it is fire. And also stay tuned for episode 4 of Supernatural Eye. That's going to be posted next month, and it's going to be an out-of-state investigation. So we're going to take a break from interviewing the teammates, but we'll move on to episode 5 on that. But this is more out of state with Con, if you guys have an idea where it's at, with some paranormal celebrities as well that will be on this one. So stay tuned for that. And yeah, I think that's all I got for you guys today. So thank you guys for watching Supernatural Eye. You guys are amazing. And I hope you like this one because this one is, again, one of our team favorites. It's up there, but it's a very good location. So I'm going to pass this on to Mike Delcoro. And for the post-interview segment, he'll be interviewing Jenny and Armando, better known as 305 Paranormal. So it's going to get wild, guys. And thank you for tuning in. Stay tuned. And we have a lot of fire heading towards your guys' way. All right, guys. I don't know what that was about. But anyways, good night. Love you guys. Bye.
What's going on, guys? This is Mike Delcoro, and I'm here with Jenny and Armando with 305 Paranormal. They're also part of War Party Paranormal, our team, and just got some questions for you guys. How you doing tonight? First of all,
good, and yourself?
Awesome. Yeah. I'm hanging in there, that's for sure. So tonight we're talking about the Gold Coast Railroad Museum, and I also want to talk about you guys, right? So a little bit of history about yourselves. How did you guys get started into this crazy field that we're in?
Well, we first got started by attending a paranormal event at the Deering Estate.
Okay.
I don't remember the name of the group, but I thought, I started following Eric and other people from that group on Instagram, and I saw one day that Eric had posted that they were looking for recruits, and I just hit him up. I sent him a message, and I got started with War Party that way. And Armando started hanging along with me to these events and stuff like that and helping out, and Scotty just kind of took him in. So that was how we started, at least with War Party.
That's awesome. Yeah, like when I first joined the team, you guys were like the first ones I met, and I was like, man, everybody's so cool and super friendly, and it's awesome. We got a really good team and a good family and a good group of people. Yes. So like, did you have any, like, what got you sparked your interest into the paranormal, like before you decided to go to this? You're just curious, or did you have an experience or anything when you were younger, or anything of that nature, or did you have anything going on that like said I need to like look more into this, or was it just out of curiosity?
You want to go first? So no.
Ooh, so definitely we had 2 different experiences. Jenny, she's gonna tell you, but it was more during her childhood. Me, it was actually when we were engaged at that point in time. There was one night, and I'm playing a PS3, waiting for her to get home. And where we were living, we had a room, and then we had a living room. So I'm in the living room, and I was sitting on a futon. And if anybody that's ever owned a futon or sat on a futon, you know that that's one of those that you can make from a couch to a bed, and it has the springs. So I'm playing PS3, and all of a sudden I start hearing a noise, and what I start realizing, it wasn't coming from the TV, it was actually the springs going down. When I take a look to my left, I can see the indentation of something that was sitting next to me, like the butt, I guess.
Wow.
And it felt, Mike, like I was super cold on this side, like if I was in a freezer. And not knowing what I was experiencing, I'm just like, hey, I'm not gonna acknowledge it. I'm just gonna play my game, whatever. And when Jenny got home from work, I was like, hey, you'll never believe what happened. And that just sparked an interest that I had. And it was one of my first times with War Party, that we were in the Belgrade Correctional, that we were investigating, Jenny, myself, and Scotty. We were in the chapel. And that was where I felt my first ever cold spot. So that actually answered one of the questions that I had going into this, as far as what was I experiencing. I'm into this to answer questions about the paranormal, what kind of questions I have. It seems like I have more questions now than when I originally started.
Yeah, that's
but
for
at
sure.
least it's cool that I've been able to answer some of the questions I've had for myself.
I think I'm gonna put that on a t-shirt for you.
Right. It's almost like every investigation you end up leaving with more questions than you have answers. But that's what keeps us going, right? You know?
Yeah, for sure.
Go
For
ahead, Jenny.
Myself, so around like about 6 or 7, I used to get, so when we first met, I told him, like, I have like something following me, or like no matter where I live, that I live like a, efficiencies and like my parents' house, I always had something like paranormal-ish happen to me. To me, I was like, yeah, it's normal, whatever. And he was like, yeah, sure. So when that happened to him, I was like, finally, huh?
Yeah. See,
so, but that house was like crazy though. And so that what he experienced, I've had that many times when I was a kid. And, I think about it now, I'm like, who the hell was that? Because I don't know really any of my like grandparents or anything like that. So who knows like what that was, but I will have like invitations. My first ever experience that I remember, and after that was like, I used to like sleep on my parents' bathroom, was there was a huge, it looked like the size kind of between a volleyball and between a tennis ball and a volleyball, like that, but a blue, let's call it an orb, but it was like
light
a ball.
anomaly.
Yeah. It was like real, it was blue, but then it kind of like faded out to like a glowing like weird thing. And I was in the corner of my room. So I saw that and I was like, yeah, no. I went back, kind of try to go back to sleep. And I saw it again. And I was like, it was just there. And I was like, what the hell is that? And I like kind of like did the slow creep out of my bed and like, and then walked out of the room, and I'm like at my doorway, and I'm looking at it, and I was like, yeah, no, forget this crap. And that night was the only night that I would always call my mom to come sleep with me because I was terrified of crap. And that night, like for some reason, it didn't happen. They didn't hear me. It was just like that. I was like, all right, good. Staying in the bathroom. And yeah, that got me like in a lot of trouble in elementary school because I wouldn't sleep at night, and I would sleep
you're tired
in the class.
day.
So I was like 2nd grade getting like parent teacher yeah, basically. They're like, why are you not sleeping? I was like, I'm fucking terrified.
Yeah. I got a ghost that keeps like waking me up with a blue light. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty wild stories, man. Like Armando, when you were telling me that as well, I started to get goosebumps a little bit. That's some wild stuff. So like kind of like, so that's how you guys got involved. Now you guys are full-blown investigators with loads of experience. And one of the places that we investigated a good amount is the Gold Coast Railroad Museum. And that place in its own has so much history and different personalities. Every cart and every area has its own personality, I would say. What would be your favorite place to investigate in this giant location, like one of the carts or one of the areas of the specific location or anything like that?
Mine is the Zephyr, and also, which we don't go there that much anymore, but the back, there's like a dining room in that back Zephyr cart
Yep.
train.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And just that whole cart, that whole train in general, I love that train.
Yeah, I've experienced some wild stuff myself there. And Armando, how about you? You the same?
Oh, I would say definitely the Zephyr. I just like the whole ambiance of it. So it was the Zephyr, for folks that don't know, it's the original rail cart. We have it at the Gold Coast Railroad. We have the original one. There's another one that is going on now, but that's not the original. It was from 1949 to 1970 that used to go exclusively from Chicago to Oakland. Um, you can just feel the history of that place. Awesome. And I love the double deck kind of effect that you can look into the sky.
Yeah, it has like a moonlight, like glass top where you could sit up there and like look out at the view. It was like very luxurious for its time.
That's very nice. Exactly.
So that was actually dubbed the most talked about train in the US at one point. So I like that train. And one that I think Mike and ourselves, we've only gotten to go into it twice, which is the Ferdinand Magellan.
I was going to bring that up.
So that cart was actually a cart that was specifically built for the U.S. presidents. The first trip that it was ever done was actually from President Roosevelt, that he took it from the White House to Miami, Florida, believe it or not. So that's a cart that we don't get to go into often, but when we do, we get some great evidence there.
Yeah. So like, I guess like the story with that cart is like before they had Air Force One, there was Railcar One, which is the Ferdinand Magellan. So that's basically what it is for anybody that's watching or listening. It was like before Air Force One. This was the presidential, and they would like travel around and do campaigns off the front of it. Like it's very, very cool looking. On the front of it, it has like a little balcony area with like a big microphone with mics set up so they can do like their presentations and everything. Super wild. And we actually captured some pretty wild evidence on that cart. Anything that stands out that you remember that we captured during that investigation? And also, I think that you're the one that told me that there was supposedly a CIA agent that lost his life on that train.
So the walls of the rail cart were lined with lead, so that helps protect the president from bullets. It just so happened that a stray bullet got through and killed the CIA agent, unfortunately. And that's actually going into what you were saying first. The most compelling evidence, you were there, Mike, was when we were investigating, we were actually speaking with that agent. And he was proud to give his life to the president, and he had no regrets on what happened.
Yeah, that was a wild night. That's for darn sure. Also, I'm sure that Franny touched on this in her episode, but the whole base, like the whole area where the museum is now, used to be the Richmond Naval Air Station, where they house these huge airships like blimps, and they would go off the coast here and protecting the Florida coast from the U-boats that were coming over. And then a hurricane came through and it started a fire, and there was a lot of deaths there from the military, and the fire chief was killed. And we've investigated the actual remaining structures there. And in the back where the museum, train car museum, what do you call that? The hobby like train set that's in the back there, and that whole area. Anything that you guys experience in that portion of the museum that comes to mind?
Oh yeah.
So I went there during the daytime with Scotty, Eric. I don't even know who else was there. They were just doing kind of like a real little daytime thing, and I showed up since I lived down here. And I brought my youngest daughter at that time, and I had her playing with the train sets, and I know that she's kind of like, she kind of like might sense something. So she was like, after a while, she's like, "Are we leaving?" And I was like, "Why?" And then she was like, "I don't like it." And I was like, "Oh, okay." I was like, "Yeah, all right." But we were catching that's one of the very few times I have EVP on an ST25, which was my first recorder when I first started War Party, was there, and it was like a female like talking, and then I was standing in front of, they have a glass case and it had like a old timey nurse mannequin with outfit or whatever, and I can hear her like screaming. She was like, hello, and I was like, yo, what the hell is that? I was like, this is wild. And it almost feels like something ominous there though. Like it feels like they're just watching you. I don't know from like where.
Yeah, in that area, I've actually gotten some pretty angry responses on EVPs as well. Like that whole place just gives me the creeps. Yeah, totally, very, very active. And you know what? It's funny that you said that about your daughter, right? Like that she was picking up something and she kind of wanted to go. You know, because children, you know, that they're not really taught not to be open like we are conditioned as adults, right? Like, oh, you know, that's in your imagination, and then you start to not pick up stuff and kind of tune in as you would as an innocent child, right? Has she or any of your daughters ever noticed anything like before? Like, have they ever said anything like?
Oh yeah. And the house that we used to live in, which is the house where when we first started War Party, I used to live in this other house, and she was fine until like a certain time where she just couldn't sleep at night, and it was like a rerun of me. Like she would wake up every night screaming, like crying, and she's literally in the same room as me, and I'm like, relax. I would always have to have her sleep with me, but she was definitely afraid at one point just to go. She wouldn't even look down the hallway. So the entrance to the door is like here, and cut like directly to one direction is the hallway. She would like just run past it because she said that she would see something that looked like a lion or something. And she even, when we moved to this house, she goes, Mommy, I don't see the lion anymore. Like every once in a while, she just like randomly tell me that, and I don't bring it up or anything. And I was like, okay, that's a good thing, right? She's like, yeah. And I was like, okay. And I always try to figure out like what was it that was presenting itself to her like that. Yeah. But
very weird.
She would do some weird stuff.
So like you're intuitive, right? Like you sense you're a sensitive or a medium, right?
I wouldn't say a medium. I just maybe like kind of have a little few of the clairs, like claircognizance or clairvoyance a little bit in my mind. You know, I can see. I've seen full blown apparition, so I don't know what you call that sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes I would hear. And
has anything ever lined up like with something that one of your daughters has seen or something that you felt or anything like that? Like
with her, no. Like I don't know. I try to research like the line thing that she was talking about, and I was thinking maybe I went like a rabbit hole, and I was like, is that like an archangel type thing that she's looking at that kind of looked like that? Because I started looking at how they look like, and I don't know if that's that. But as far as for her, no. But like in locations where we have been, yeah, like I've seen in the Cromartie house, what's the lady's name? I forget.
We saw Mrs.
No, I saw in the King Cromartie house.
Yeah, the teacher. What was the teacher's name? Miss Cromartie, right?
No.
In the King Cromartie house, it was. Well, there's reports of Lula, which is the little girl.
The little girl,
but there's a woman there that died. The teacher. That died. Stranahan, Ivy.
Her. I've like seen her, and say like I seen that person there at when we did Belle Glade. I saw a prisoner. I've seen something here.
We saw both of us and Joe, our brother Joe, good friend of ours and yours as well. We all three of us have seen the same woman. I'm sure Joe has told you about it, Mike. The woman with the dark hair, that's wet hair.
Oh, that's the thing
here. The white dress. All three of us have seen it. Both of us have seen it in our house, and then Joe saw it afterwards.
I remember when he first saw that. I think we were at the DoubleTree. And yeah, and it's actually on one of the videos. It's crazy. We thought it was complete darkness, and we only had like full spectrum cameras, right? So I thought he stumbled over something, but he was so frightened that that's what happened.
Yeah.
Like he jumped, like, and I'm like, did you almost fall? He's like, no, man, I just saw something like right here, and it's wild. And talking about Joe real quick, a little off topic, right? But I've known Joe before I was on the team, and we're good buddies, and he would tell me some stuff like, oh man, I saw this, and at first I'd be like, crazy. I don't think it's not that I don't believe him, like, because I know Joe's not a BSer, right? But it's hard for me to understand because I don't have any of that. Like I can't, like, it's very, very rare for me to feel something or to see something. I depend on the equipment a lot. But recently, like when he says that, like I'm over there, like, all right, what's up? And I'll like put my camera, and every time, the last like 3 times he said he saw something, I've captured it on video.
What? That's crazy.
Like when we were at Ledgeworth Village too, he said, like, I see something over there. I was like, move. And like I busted in there with the camera, and you could see like a figure in the camera. Same at the Surreal Weed House. So like, yeah, he's definitely got something going on, and that's wild stuff to me. It's like, it's crazy like that you guys and people can do that. It's mind-blowing to me, because I can't experience it, so it's hard for me to wrap my head around it. But yeah, I mean, that's proof right there, right? And a couple of like some of the stuff that you've seen, and I think it was in the Veely House attic that we've actually captured EVPs that related to some of the stuff that you've seen, right?
Yeah. There was a guy that was standing right behind you guys. It was you, Ernesto, and Armando, and like I looked up and I like jumped back because whatever's there, the Paul Hammer, that's Paul Hammer, right?
Paul Hammer.
Yeah. He was like standing there, and he kind of like faded back, and I was like, ugh, like, okay,
that session that day, that it was the 3 of us and Ernesto.
That was pretty cool.
That was a really good session in that attic.
We
were getting some great responses. It was the one thing that you had mentioned. Actually, I was laughing when you had said it. I heard you say it in the podcast with Mike, that it was you and Eric, and you had said that Joe is basically a human REM pod.
Yeah.
I was cracking up because I was like, yep, that's perfect.
Joe, stand here and see if you go off.
Yeah, exactly.
just configure him with some like
lights
and noises.
Lights on him.
when he gets startled, it lights up, right?
It'd be cool if we put some, like, try to make like a hat,
right?
And like it'll light up. That'd be fucking hilarious.
Now, just another one. Like, when did you guys meet Franny? Because like I know we went over that. Like I met Franny at the the Hotel Redland. And what investigation and where were you guys when you met Franny?
It was actually here in Gold Coast.
Yeah.
Actually, the first 2 times it was at Gold Coast.
Yeah.
The first time she was kind of going around to the different groups, and then she came along with us, and that's actually when we were getting a great session going on in the Zephyr.
And in the medical part.
And in the medical as well. She came with us. And then the second time we met her, I always laugh when I think about this day with Franny. I call it the steak sandwich incident, or como mi latinos, el pan con bistec. I call it the steak sandwich incident because we were investigating with Eric, and we were under the assumption that we were going to eat at this restaurant, and we were looking at the steak sandwich menu, and we were like there drooling, the 3 of us. And then they told us, all right guys, well, we're paying for the bill, you guys are only getting coffee, and that's it, we're out, let's go and investigate. So
we're so hungry.
We were just like, yeah, we can't,
because then your stomach's in the growl and you're gonna think that you're hearing stuff, right?
And how many times has that happened? Because this legit happened to me.
And one of the awesome things about Franny. She's so thoughtful. She went and got chips, and then the three of us were just like borrowing these
from
Doritos.
now on, she like brings snacks. She's like, in case you guys are hungry. I was like, oh, I was hungry.
So was there anything like during the first time when you met her that like kind of stuck out, like different than, because we have a lot of people that come out to our events. We have a lot of people that sometimes want to join the team, and what we'll do is we'll have them tag along with us here and there, and we'll see how everybody vibes and make sure everybody gets along and see how they do, and if they're professional and act professional. And and Franny was one of them that ended up sticking, and it was a great addition to the team. Is there anything that she did that night, or anything that she had equipment wise, or anything that kind of stuck out and said, oh, you know what, I think she's done this before, or anything like that?
That I remember, she was doing we were doing EVPs, and just like the questions that she was asking at the time, I remember specifically the medical part, and it was her and somebody else that didn't make the team that was there, and I think there was even another person there.
It was like 3.
Yeah, it was like 3 people, and I can see her that she was engaged. Like, she was listening to like Eric, she was listening to us, whatever we had like opinions on, like what we heard or whatever, and she was engaging, and she was she kind of made what she was thinking. We heard an EVP, like, yeah, it made sense. She did do that correctly, as far as like,
trying to keep the
like,
conversation
like
going, and not just keep asking what's your name over and over. She was trying to establish an
actual connection,
and as well. And that's one of the things that I did notice about her as well, is a lot of people don't do this, and is giving enough time in between questions, and letting the recorder sit, and giving it time to capture whatever may be there. And that was one of the things that stuck out with me when I first started investigating, where there was like, okay, cool, is give it time. Not always is the spirit sitting there like next to the microphone, like, all right, I'm here, all right. And sometimes you got to give it time to record, and that's something that stuck out with me.
And I know people get excited and they want to like jump into like, now that we do events, like, and I'd be like, hey, yeah, you do the questions or whatever, and I'm just like, I can just see that people get excited, and they why they would do that. But
it's easy to do. It's definitely easier to do.
And then me personally, I love the whole her like hat thing. It kind of gave me like Lydia Beetlejuice vibes.
Lydia
man, that's what I got. I got strangely. That's actually, this is a Beetlejuice hat.
Oh, there you go. Nice.
So it gave me that kind of vibe. But no, going back to that, it's just the way that she was investigating. I knew she had experience.
Yeah,
definitely.
You can tell that she's done ghost hunts.
It wasn't her first rodeo.
Yeah.
Very cool, guys. Well, hey, I really appreciate you guys coming on tonight, and I'm sure Franny does as well, and everybody. And hopefully we'll see you again real soon. And is there anything else that you guys want to add? Like, all right, let's do this. Where can people find you if they want to see your content and stuff that you're putting out there? And where can they see your social media or follow you on YouTube or any of that stuff? Throw that out there for us.
So our social media handle is 305 Paranormal, all together. And that's on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. And I will be throwing a 5-minute video on the Deering Estate, and where I possibly catch a shadow figure. So that's going to be coming up this weekend.
Yeah, guys, might want to look out for that for sure.
Yes.
When's that coming? So go check it out. Head over there and subscribe, so when she drops it, you're alerted. And if you hit that notification bell, you'll be alerted when they post new content.
Yes.
And we appreciate it. We all are very passionate about what we do. And when we post content and stuff like that, it means the world to us to come check it out, give it a like and follow and all that fun stuff. And any other stuff that you want to add? Anything coming up that you want people to look out for?
I just created. So last year was the year 305 Paranormal. We started off in the beginning of the year with our YouTube and the IG page, and we ended it with Mr. 305 Paranormal on IG. So you can definitely catch me on there. You can tag me. And then I'm gonna dive into a little bit more than just paranormal. I kind of like sneakers and like fixing them up, painting them. Talk a little bit about sports.
Heck yeah, man.
You catch a little bit more.
Oh, but we have an investigation coming up very soon, and
On the 28th, we'll be going to Yesteryear Village, so you can catch us there.
and should we say?
Yeah, whatever you want.
So we'll be investigating Mary Stringer with the team. So we're excited about that, and yeah, so we'll see what evidence we get off of Mary Stringer.
I know I'm a little jealous. I was gonna like I was
Wait,
like
you're not
gonna,
going?
I can't because when they posted the dates, I was like, I'm going. I'm gonna go.
I know.
And then they were like, oh, it's not that day, it's the day before, and I have to work, and for me to get up there, it'd be very hard.
Damn.
Yeah. When she said it was Saturday, I was like, I'm in.
That's what happened to him.
And
Yeah.
then I was like, oh no, it's still Friday. I was like, but definitely, you know, I'll be there in spirit, right?
I have a new piece of equipment coming too, so I'm very excited to estrenar.
Yeah, that's always fun.
Oh yeah.
And also, please, I know you're gonna support us, but support our brother Mike and Eric in their new endeavor with Paraflix.
Yes.
The Haunted Files. It's starting up next week, right?
The 14th will be our first episode on Paraflix. Yeah, definitely check that out. We would love that and appreciate it. And if you use the code, like if you're not signed up for Paraflix, if you use the code Haunted File, the Haunted Files 25, you get 25% off your annual subscription. It's not expensive. It's like $40 a year, and then you get $20 off, 25% off by using the code. So very affordable. Come check it out. We've got some cool stuff planned for the future. If you want to check out any of my personal stuff or anything about the Delco goggles or anything like that, just check out my website. It's flaparanormalresearcher.com, and we appreciate it. And big shout out to War Party Paranormal. If you want to see any of the upcoming events and things of that nature, there you go. War Party Paranormal, baby. It's www.warpartyparanormal.com, and you can see everything there, and it has links to the radio show and all our other stuff going on.
New show on Monday as well. New episode for the War Party YouTube.
Yep. We got some new show every Monday. We're back. We took a little break during the holidays, but we're back strong, and we got some awesome guests coming up. So appreciate it, guys. Thank you, Jenny. Thank you, Armando. 305 Paranormal, folks. Check them out.
Thank you, Franny. Bye.